Hi everyone, my name is Erin Lennon. I am a young adult with St. Ed's, and today I want to talk to you about honesty. So, as we approach and are in the Lenten season, I've been reflecting a lot about honesty and just the idea of realizing where we are. Being honest with ourselves, being honest with God, and when necessary, being honest with other people in our lives. Especially when it comes to fasting and prayer during Lent, I think honesty is something that cannot be overlooked. So, first off, I want to talk about honesty with ourselves. I think we all would love to be the type of people who wake up at 6 a.m. every morning and go pray a holy hour in the chapel, and then, make it to daily mass, go work an 8-hour day, and then, pray for 2 hours at night. Like, that sounds amazing, right? We would all love to do that. And I think part of honesty is just recognizing where we are at personally, right? Like, really looking at yourself and saying, okay, I'm the type of person who right now am struggling to pray for, a half an hour every day or 15 minutes every day or whatever it is. So it would make more sense for me to set a realistic goal for myself, right? Like I would love to be the type of person who prays for, if I can't pray for 15 minutes every day, like let's set a goal, I'll pray for 15 to 20 minutes every day this week, right? And just being really honest with ourselves about where we're at and growing that small amount before we attempt to tackle these, holy hours or these big, day-long prayer sessions in the chapel, right? And I think so much more fruit comes from consistency and meeting with God every day than it does from, these one-off, holy hour every 3 weeks sort of deals where we're not really truly inviting God into our lives. We're like, hey, God, I'll see you once a month in the chapel and then we'll be good to go, right? So I think honesty with ourselves and really understanding our starting point. And a good way to be honest with ourselves and to kind of check in every day is to do an examination of conscience. Oh, examination of conscience, yikes. So an examination of conscience is just a list of questions that you can kind of ask yourself every day. They have like a ton of these. I've seen them for young adults specifically. So where the ones that you might get handed to you before confession could be asking you, have you been kind to your kids today? Like, that doesn't really do a whole lot for me. I like the young adult ones where it's like, hey, have you been scrolling on your phone for 2 hours every day when you really should be, working or praying or doing something productive? And I'm like, yeah, I have been. So just an examination of conscience. It's a really easy, sheet. You can find 5-minute ones. You can find ones that take much longer than that. But just going through that at the end of every day and just doing a check-in and seeing where you're at. The second way that we all need to work on honesty is by being honest with God. And this one is difficult, right? Like we all know we are sinners, we are human beings. It's tough, right? And I think confession can be a really, really scary thing for a lot of us. Where it's vulnerable, right? Like we're putting ourselves before the Lord and we are saying, like, these are all the ways that I'm not a good person. Like that is so hard. But I think one thing that is important to remember is that God, like, is ever present. He has seen it all. He already knows all of these things, and his love is eternal, right? So we're not going to magically get to the confession, and show up and start listing our sins and have God be like, oh my gosh, like you were mean to your little brother, like you're done, like that's it, it's over, like I'm done with you. Like that's just never gonna happen, And I think it's so much better to invite God into those things that are hard for us, that are difficult for us, because when we do, he can help us through it. Like we're human beings, we can do nothing on our own. We need to invite God into those moments of hardship so that he can help us overcome them. And he can't do that unless we're inviting him into it. So definitely, continue to go to confession. If you haven't been in a while, like it's never too late to start. I went probably close to 7 years after my confirmation before I went back to confession. And it was like crazy. I was like crying to the priest, just being like, I'm sorry, I've sinned so much in 7 years. But like nothing's gonna shock a priest at this point, like they've seen it, heard it all. You can't shock God because A, he's already, seen you do the sin, and B, I don't think any of us are like that creative to do something that would shock God. And it's like, it's gonna be okay. Confession is one of the best tools that we have to work on a relationship with God. And as long as we're going in, we're being honest, it can really help us grow closer to Him, especially during Lent. And then my third way for us to be honest is to be honest with others. So, for example, if you have a sin that you know you struggle with, maybe every weekend you go out and you have a little bit too much to drink, or maybe you have a really hard time getting to Mass. Or for me, as I mentioned, I just didn't go to confession for a really, really long time. And it can be difficult to break those habits once we've built them. And a great way for us to kind of overcome that is to be honest with other people and to ask for accountability. So when I was getting back into going to confession, I spoke to a girl that I was very close with and who I was walking with in my walk towards Christ. It should be somebody who you trust and somebody who you are, walking this journey with. So I said, Sally, I want to go to confession. I never go to confession. In 2 weeks, I need you to text me and just be like, hey, have you made it to confession yet? And it can be as simple as that. But when we sort of, reveal that part of us to other people, it makes it so much more, I think, real and tangible. And we can be like, okay, this is a problem that I'm having. Can you please help me with it? So, for example, if drinking is, a recurring issue, just like the friends even that you go out with, just being like, hey, I'm done after 2 drinks tonight, all good. Or even hey, I'm not going to drink tonight. I'll be the DD, but I don't, I'm done with that for this week. And just, it doesn't need to be you bearing your soul to these people, but just, having somebody there for accountability who you can be honest with and just, expose a little bit of yourself to, be vulnerable, and just allow them to help you on this journey. So those are my 3 ways that we can be more honest with ourselves, with God, and with others this Lenten season. If you would like to chat more, please come to a St. Ed's Young Adult event, and we would love to see you guys there. Thank you.